This is Smithy.tv.
Hello, people. This is Kid. Oh, I hear the phone ring. Hi, this is Kenny Robinson. You're checking us out on Smitty TV. This is Breaking Down the News. And because we've had such a great feedback from the last episode with my guest, Special Clifton, that's on the Special
like
Joseph bus.
Special sauce, yeah.
Clifton Joseph, my special guest. I've asked if he'd like to ride shotgun with me on most of these drive-by, what would we call these, utterings, drive-by conversations. So Clifton Joseph back in the house. No worse for wear and tear. For Toronto Blue Jays fans, sorry the season ended the way it did. You lasted one more game than my Cubs, so don't hold your head up too damn high. And all power to the Kansas City Royals, because I'll hate the New York Mets as long as the sun rises and the waves and the oceans have fish. So anyway, what else will I happen to hate?
Mm-hmm. How you doing, Kenny?
I'm good, man.
I should have my shades on. That suit, that jacket is just too fine.
It's a classic. When I bought it, my mother said you could have bought a suit, and for the price of that, I said I got suits.
Mm-hmm, damn.
So it's a throwback day, and I just said it's a nice crisp autumn day where it's gonna
beautiful
be hot.
day. It's marvelous.
So I said, let's roll out the yellow cashmere, before people say you still wearing that old coat. But
I was called last. I am seeing a show at the Chin Picnic last summer, and had on a nice white suit. Man.
Okay.
But I thought the air conditioner would be working.
It's always outdoors, isn't it?
No, it was inside. They got stuff outdoors, but they got some gigs that happen indoors.
Oh, I've never been to one.
Yeah, so I got in there, man, and it was hot, Kenny.
So you did a Teddy Pendergrass, you just wore the pants and vest with no shirt?
No, man, I ain't taking my jacket off. It was part of the outfit. So I was telling people, look, they say, look, Clifton, you're sweating. I say, yeah, I'm hot and cool.
They say never let them see you sweat, as long as they don't smell me sweating.
Well, dig. So where we start today, Kenny, always a pleasure to hang with you, man. I love being your shotgun number 2, man. You know what it is? I mean, you are the funniest cat in the world to me, so I just love to be in your shadow, take all of the jokes.
You are no one's shadow, son. You know what? If Ed McMahon, if Johnny Carson had you instead of Ed McMahon, he wouldn't have gave up that show.
Oh, dig.
He'd have stayed another 20 years. So, anyway.
You're making me feel like I'm my own double eclipse. I'm the sun passing the moon.
You are the sun ra. So, okay, so we got some things happening. We just finished having Halloween. We'll talk about that later on.
Dig. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Big thing in the news, though. There was a girl didn't want to give up her cell phone. And teachers couldn't handle it, called in the principal couldn't handle it, so then they called in the Marines by the look of things. Okay, so you've seen it, I've seen it. I've probably blocked about 40 people who said, well, she should have done as she was told. And first of all, I thought very funny that we had the same people that commented that this young girl should have gave up her cell phone when asked are the same people that scream when the idea of them not having access to every semi-automatic assault weapon. Obama's trying to take our guns. Well, you better give him your phone. You see what happened.
Yeah, well, the treatment looks like, it's like, okay, militarization has come home to America from all the wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, all the way back to Vietnam and the Bay of Pigs, and all the way back to the turn of the century.
Maybe all the way back.
Absolutely, from the beginning, the Civil War, all of that slavery. So what it is that they've militarized the schools, Kenny, and there's a war on black children in the schools.
But for some reason, good cause for it. I attended Kenwood High in Chicago for a year or two, and R. Kelly went there. But one year there's a rape of a girl in the bathroom, and then they brought in armed guards. And when the armed guard told me to, off-duty Chicago, they were Chicago police, and they were assigned there, and they carried their chunks on their hips. And when he said, "Don't be hanging out in the hallway," then I said, "Well, I guess we better go to class." But the year before I went there, they wound up shooting some other kid that didn't even go to that school, that was there for whatever purposes, but was told to leave and didn't wanna, and they big iron on the hip, as Marty Robbins said. So, and that was in 1972.
Oh yeah, so it's been happening for a while, but it's gotten way more increased right now because of course, teachers have given up the idea of discipline.
Well, they've had it taken away.
Sometimes it's
When was the last time you put your hand out to get the strap?
yeah. No, I mean, they had corporate punishment. I grew up in the Caribbean in Antigua with that kind of punishment.
Right.
I mean, I remember being beaten by a teacher, headmaster, the whole class, Kenny.
I never had a school with a
Dude rolled
headmaster.
up. Yeah, headmaster, assistant headmaster. The dude beat all of us for saying trips, kissing our teeth to one of the teachers. That's how bad it is. But in America now, what it is that black kids from 3 years old are being suspended multiple times. They're being suspended. They're being harassed. They got cops in the schools. The teachers have given up on discipline. More black parents are actually homeschooling now. And of course, you know the whole movement. I'm a little bit mixed on the whole charter school movement, but
Yeah, that confuses me still.
yeah, it's taking government money away from the school system into the private system. So part of it is the deterioration of funding for public education, the taking care of teachers' pay so that they know that they're going in a risk situation, that they'll put all out and all in. So now you got a police kind of force inside of the school also who seem to be able to do whatever they want to do with these young black children, male, female, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old. And this young girl seemed like she'd been going through some depression, man. She had some deaths in her family. Her grandmother died.
Her mother hadn't died, dog. I read that her mother
the
died.
mother
Then I read, no, her mother alive, just don't talk to her.
Oh, okay.
So, so it's strange, which is almost the same thing as being dead until they make peace.
So where's the guidance counselor? I mean, where's the guidance
I think the
counselor?
guidance counselor said, better call the police.
So this kind of has to stop. So I'm glad that they fired that dude, at least to put
Criminal
out,
charges, you think, are in line?
I would say so, because that was an assault, really. That,
You know, what I love is when people say, well, she struck at the officer. And I said, that is not striking at an officer. That is the same kind of thrashing a drowning person makes.
Yes.
Because and I don't know if you've ever been in one of those school desks, but have somebody
Oh, yeah,
flip
it's,
you over.
you're constrained.
It's
You're
like a canoe
constrained in.
flipping over.
Yeah.
And have you ever had somebody tip your desk over? I've been sitting
Yeah,
and had
yeah.
that thing flipped over like it's on. So when that happens, you just grab them for anything to stop from
telling you.
going under or going down. So so then people say, but what do you do? Do you allow just the children to run, to run ragged and call the shots?
No, you invoke what you're supposed to be doing in
Invoke
education.
the War Measures Act?
No. Don't read the riot act. But there's supposed to be a counseling division. There is a guidance counselor. There are supposed to be those kind of things that are attached to the school curriculum to assist students if they're having any mental health problems or any kind of
But
problems.
that was a
with families.
discipline problem there, though.
Yeah, discipline, yeah. And look, I have a lot of sympathy for teachers. I go into the schools, man, Kenny, and you can see them kids teachers have a difficult time.
Dear, by the grace of God, you almost wound up being a teacher.
Yeah, I'm telling you, but I looked at the optics and no, it wasn't something for me. But they take a lot of heat. Teachers take a lot of
Right.
heat, and they're not paid as regularly as people think. I mean, they get the months off in the summertime. People think it's a big holiday, but
it's the money spread over the
money
year.
spread over.
My
it's
cousin's a
prorated,
teacher, yeah.
So I have a lot of respect and sympathy for teachers, but teachers have to do more. The educational system itself has to do more, and they got to somehow get this militarization out of the schools because it's antagonizing. And the FBI came out with some studies saying that up to 40 or 50% of police forces across the United States have been infiltrated by neo-Nazi. But we know that from a long time.
We've always known
that.
that.
So these guys who end up being in those kind of positions have a certain mindscape, whether they're black or white.
Yeah,
tell
like
the
this
truth.
cat. I mean, I read one of the articles that he's not racist because he's dating a black woman. Well, Thomas Jefferson, he dated one of his slaves too, so that doesn't mean anything to me. He said, well, he likes black pussy. How could you say he's racist?
Get it.
Well, no, but that's what they try to. Oh, that's different then.
Big, yeah.
And I guess all those GIs in Vietnam seeing those Saigon boom boom girls still couldn't go into combat and grease Charlie the next day.
You know what I'm saying?
So
Yeah.
so that's got nothing to do with it. But I mean, I've read some ridiculous things though from people that like supporting the girl, saying, well, the teacher could have emptied the classroom into another classroom which is impossible because the only other empty classroom was being used by a Muslim prayer group at the time. So,
For real?
no, that's one of the new demands, though. They want to have a permanent room for prayer, and that's here in the GTA. But some people suggested the teacher just picked up all the students and moved and left this one difficult child there. And I'm saying, well, then what if that child went and stole all the lunches? What if that difficult child, unsupervised, went and committed suicide while the whole class is in? So you cannot just take up the room and move it and leave the difficult. But they could have just waited her out.
But Kenny, look, they
Like a
have
siege.
Yeah, but you're telling me that the school doesn't have a contingency plan for developments like that?
Well, they did. They said call Officer Smackdown.
So beyond going to the officer, I mean, there should be some way of resolving those situations. I don't know what the problem is at that school in particular, but I know that sometimes the teachers are so scared of the students, so scared of being called this, that, or the other, so scared about recriminations coming from the top that they end up being paralyzed and not doing anything. So if you're telling me that the only solution to this young woman not getting up out of that seat is to call the cop guy for him to like drag her out of there and flip her like it's a WWF.
I would have just ignored the girl till the class is over. But while I was continuing to teach, I would have called her guardian. And then when the class was done, I said, no, stay in your seat. And then the guardian would have came in and said, you need to take this child for about 5 days. But then suspension, is that the solution?
Well, again, yeah. I mean,
There has to be some kind of discipline.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of discipline. But again, if you look at her situation, you say, well, okay, let's look at what this person is going through, right?
Right.
And you say, you take an emphatic empathy position that, well, let's see what we can work out with that. Now, the question might be that there aren't facilities in the school to deal with that.
No.
Or that it's not an option.
There's no facilities in our society deal with that.
So we're going to have a lot of cops.
How come after Martin Luther King was assassinated, his children weren't acting up and had to get their desks flipped over? And they would have refused to move too. They would have done the traditional nonviolent sit down. So
call the dogs on the water hoses.
You know.
It's an intolerable situation that this is not how you treat students in school.
No.
This is how you treat prisoners.
I do believe, though, the cell phone is the devil's right hand.
Well, they have to become something. Because I was at a school one time and doing my some poetry in the schools, and a phone rang. And a young brother picked it up and said, Teach, I got to get this one.
It was a large order coming in. He had a lot of produce to move at 3:30.
I don't know what it is that he had to do, but the dude went out into the hallway, did his thing, and came back. And the teacher was cool. I was the only one whose mouth had dropped, right?
You're hired to go in there and do something. Or if you're up there talking about Northern Babylon and you look down in the first 10 rows and these little dudes just sitting there just texting, you say, you better be writing my quotes down.
So yeah, so if you don't deal with, I'm not a big disciplinarian, but if you don't deal with restrictions and those kind of things, then a whole can of worms is opened up because phones are ringing, texts are coming in, you're doing your do, things are happening. I mean, there's games to play, there's all kinds of things. Distractions from learning. I remember though, just we'll wrap this up soon, but just a week before that, a friend of mine, I've known her maybe 25, 30 years. She was on Facebook complaining that her child's teacher had taken his cell phone during class. And I'm saying, well, he must have had it out of his pocket. So I'm thinking, well, if homie kept it in his knapsack or his pocket, I think what we got to do now, I mean, the whole thing with the militarization of our schools, now you're 1,000% on that, right? But I think, though, we have to start with the cell phones. They got to surrender them like in the Old West when you checked your gun when you went into the saloon. And what if there's an emergency? Well, the teacher's there for an emergency. For years before cell phone.
What if there's a shooter? Well, we got Officer Smackdown down the hall for that shooter. He'll hear the first bang bang and come running, so we can check the phones, right? So I think first off we got to take away, and the Constitution does not say the right to bear cell phones. So I think we need to confiscate the cell phones at the beginning of the class so you don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah, I haven't got a problem with that really because it leads to more problem than it solves anything.
But and it's only so much grief counseling a school can give. I mean, we're gonna run over on this one, but I remember when the year my father died, he had a stroke up in Chicago, and we couldn't get him to the hospital there because of the healthcare system.
It's gonna cost you $1.5 million.
Didn't have it. Had to have $5,000 down. So we went to 5 hospitals that night trying to get him in. So my mother was able to get a plane ticket and call his old doctor in Winnipeg, who he hadn't seen in 12 years.
Save like $3,000 on that. Yeah.
Say we can get him a bed tomorrow. So me and my dad were on the plane heading to Winnipeg, and my mother was off to Detroit to run the first chain of artificial Christmas trees stores. So when my father died, I became very I guess I was fisticuffs before then. But if anybody made a racial slur, which they had to in Winnipeg, it's like, nigger, my father was a nigger. And then, so it wasn't just racial, it was also my father.
Yeah.
So they had me go and see a counselor and give me and try to make me feel like there's something wrong with me. But I just knew if you leave me alone, I'll be okay. So, this child probably needs some time alone.
Yeah, probably.
But
yeah.
Anyway, folks, we don't want you to have any time alone. We want you to keep on sticking with us. We're going to be right back with another exciting episode of Breaking Down the News here on your favorite non-TV TV, the TV of Smitty.